Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad that you're joining us today for the ResultsResourcing workshop on unlocking growth, leveraging the new area of virtual assistants. And I'd like to welcome you to the talk today. Many of you are here physically or watching the show today, but we've also got a ton of people that I'm welcoming that are watching the recording later. That seems to be one of the new ways of multitasking, is registering for a webinar and watching the recording later, which is great because I just want to find as many ways to get the message out to people about what we're doing these days. I'd also like to introduce Lana Sanderson. She is helping to moderate the talk today, and she's manning the chat, letting people in. And we will be talking, the talk itself is about 30 minutes, and we will be having time for Q&A at the end. So if you have questions that come up along the way, or at the end, just put them in the chat, and Lana will coordinate that when we get to the end. So this is the topic, leveraging the new era of virtual assistants. And let me just move this forward. Let me talk a little bit about me and why I am kind of the person talking about this today. So I'm Elizabeth Eiss, and I'm the CEO and founder of ResultsResourcing. And I spent years in corporate America running business operations. I wore possibly every single hat that's imaginable, a lot of different experiences. Also did a lot of technology projects and was responsible for making new tech work and deliver business value in large corporations. And in about 2020, I left corporate America and I joined my first tech startup and have never looked back. I love the world of entrepreneurship. That first tech startup did not work, which is not unusual, but it left me with a lot of great ideas, and ended up consulting for a lot of smaller startup companies, became an angel investor. And as I was doing consulting and working with other companies that were looking for funding, I really got a lot of experience hiring gig workers. They would round me out as a consultant, and I would help companies I was working with hire gig workers. So I have been working with gig workers and have been astounded by the amazing value that gig workers can bring to the table for 2 decades now. And so along the way, I got inspired to launch ResultsResourcing in 2015. And what we are is a staffing and a technology hybrid. And what I'm particularly motivated to do is really help small businesses hire fractional talent to gain the same benefits I did as I was working as a consultant. And then as the saying goes, I drink my own champagne. We have really grown ResultsResourcing using the same principles. We hire freelancers too, to bring in talent where we need it. And so since 2015, I've been helping many solopreneurs and small businesses scale ever since. And so I really want to share some of the things that we've learned and how others can really use these same ideas to scale their businesses. I'd like to start by presenting some context. And, all we do is read about really large businesses in the United States, or frankly, around the globe. But 99.9% of US businesses are small. In fact, 80% of them, or 27 million businesses in the United States, have no employees. They're called non-employee firms. They're solopreneurs. And another 6 million, or 20%, do have employees, but they're small. They have generally less than 10 to 15 employees. So an enormous number of small businesses make a huge contribution to the employment statistics as well as to the US GDP. And this is really a similar situation to most countries. Small business really is the lifeblood of an economy. So one of my key messages is, how can solopreneurs and SMBs think bigger? And the reason I am on this mission is because if you look at most research, solopreneurs on average make $50,000 a year. And if you add a couple employees, maybe you're up to 400,000, 5 to 9 employees, a little over 1 million, 10 to 19, 2 million. But at the end of the day, these businesses are small. And so I keep asking myself the question, what impact could these small businesses have if you or they doubled their revenue? Impact on families, impact on individuals, impacts on communities, and impact on the country. I think it could be huge. One business at a time. And The other thing I think about is how do we prep solopreneurs and SMBs for success? Because the survival rates aren't surprising, but they're still alarming. I mean, basically at 5 years, only 50% of the businesses that started are still in business. And in fact, we're going through a phase since COVID of the largest business formations in history, the enormous trajectory of people starting their own businesses. And so how do we help them survive and thrive? Well, they tend to fail because they run out of money, their products and services become obsolete, and they get outcompeted. Another thing that I think leads to failure is they really don't use emerging technology. Only 40% use any kind of specialized technology, like a CRM system, for example. And even fewer, only 33%, use cloud-based computing. So any technology they have resides on a computer. It's not shareable. It's not necessarily scalable. And so when you look at those factors, how can we increase the success factor in small businesses? And those are some of the things I want to talk about today in terms of providing virtual assistants, which can support a business and support a business in its efforts to grow and scale. So I really want to talk about what I call the new era of virtual assistants. And so there's 4 key topics. One is talking about digital and AI-driven virtual assistants and human virtual assistants. The second is talking about the difference between a singular virtual assistant and then the concept of virtual assistants. And then this leads right into the evolution of the role of virtual assistants, as well as team virtual assistants. And then lastly, kind of talking throughout the talk, but towards the end in particular, about how do you leverage these VA options for your business so you can scale and you can be more successful. So I decided to use digital technology and ask ChatGPT, describe a virtual assistant? And it's really interesting the answer I got back. It's technology. A virtual assistant is a software-based service or application designed to help users with tasks, information, and automating workflows. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. But then when I delved further into this is what I found, is the growth of digital assistants is led by the names you all recognize, Amazon, Apple, Google, and Microsoft, and they think it's a huge market. And if you think about it, things on your phone like, Siri or Alexa, those are all digital assistants, and you're not maybe thinking about them in terms of your business, but they're helping you turn your lights off and on. They're making shopping lists. They're doing all kinds of things. They're getting information for you. And what I also find interesting is the number of newly funded startups that are focused on AI and digital tools. And this chart shows you the number of companies that are exploring ideas, developing ideas in this area. And these are just the funded ones. And the minimum funding in this chart was 1.5 billion, which is a substantial funding raise. So there's just a lot happening with people exploring ways to automate and provide digital tools to help businesses and people do more. And going back to the slide about not using technology, it's a really missed opportunity, I think, of small businesses not to think about how digital tools can help them advance their business. So after learning that VA was a software tool, I asked ChatGPT to describe a human virtual assistant. And this is what I got. It's a remote professional, which is truly what virtual means. And they provide administrative, technical, or creative assistance, all from a remote location. And what they do primarily is routine administrative duties to very specialized services. And that really rang true for me. So it caused me to build this chart. And so I thought broadly about the idea of virtual assistants and how at the low end, are finite kinds of tasks that things can do. And at the high end is a really broad range of things that a human virtual assistant can do. And so work is pretty much done in these broad categories. If it's a task-oriented thing, whether it's just a list, clerical, data entry, things that are routine or things that are automation, templated scripts kind of things, those are all things that are really done by lower end human virtual assistants or increasingly by technology. And at the other end of the spectrum are really more outcomes-based services that require critical thinking or problem solving. They're consultative. These are the kinds of things that can't be automated and that are uniquely human in terms of delivery. And then when I think about digital versus human, where does the digital work come in? And it's really at the lower end of the spectrum. These are the highly repetitive tasks, the data-oriented tasks, the black and white tasks. And I think that's where digital and AI tools are really going to take over. And I do think, though, that this line between digital and human is going to keep shifting. And I think more and more digital tools will be made to do more and more, and especially as these tools are trained on more data, more current data, and to do more things, they will continue to erode that line. But I think essentially there's always going to be that need for an outcomes-based human virtual assistant to do all the things on this list. But at the very end, there's three that I think are particularly noteworthy. One, that humans are self-motivated, they're not programmed, and they can apply judgment, and they can provide humanity. Because at the end of the day, when we're trying to scale a business and relate to our clients or customers, humanity is important. And that's a key element, I think, to human virtual assistants. So let's talk a little bit about what a virtual assistant is and what virtual assistance is. And the pictures say it all. And a virtual assistant tends to be one human being. And virtual assistance is a broader support concept that is a network of support. And when you think about it, this broader network is what we all have. You have virtual assistants from an attorney, probably from a CPA, from all kinds of different, maybe a web designer, a graphic designer. Those are all networks that you have. And it's just a matter of how they're organized. So it's a concept of getting the services you need for your business through an ecosystem of talent to support you. And so exploring the human individual virtual assistant there's key pros for sure. They're fractional, use them as you need them, and they're cost effective. But there were some real shortfalls. They don't scale. I mean, an individual human being has a finite number of hours they can work each week. They have a finite skill set. You can't be good at everything. So there's some ceiling on their expertise or some limits to the things they can do for you. For example, someone that's good at graphic design is probably not a bookkeeper. So there's going to be limits. It's going to zero in on a certain core level of expertise. And people take vacations, they get sick. And I've also noticed in the many years that I've helped clients get virtual assistants, is many virtual assistants are working a side hustle. They are really organized, capable, well-meaning people, but they're doing a virtual assistant side hustle in addition to other jobs that they might have. And so all those things, while there are pros to human virtual assistants, they also present cons and frustrations for businesses that are trying to build a relationship with someone that can help them scale, but then all of a sudden that person doesn't have a skill they need, or they don't have the time that that business needs to grow and scale business owner's business. And that's really where I think the strength of team assistance comes in. The same kind of pros, it's fractional and cost effective, but it does scale. And there's a professionalism to providing virtual assistant services. There really can be no limit on skills or skill level because teams can be quite large and have a great deal of expertise in, say, graphic design, as well as a certified bookkeeper, all on the same team, but focused on different service delivery. You also have business redundancy because you have more than one person there to take over if someone is out sick or does take vacation. And because, frankly, these teams are businesses, they are committed to the profession. They don't want to be your employee. They want to run their business. They want you as a client. They want to deliver great results. So your business scales and they help you to do it. And so that's really what's so powerful, I think, about human virtual assistant teams: fractional, cost-effective, and scalable. And there's just a number of value adds. They're professional. They have a broad array of skill and skill levels. And very important, they have business acumen. They are businesses themselves. There's redundancy in the team. And another key factor in these teams today is they're very tech savvy. They use technology a lot so they can scale and deliver services, and they can help you scale and deliver services because they really have a good understanding of technology. And in fact, often come up with blended digital and human virtual assistant solutions. So back to this diagram that I presented, just to kind of quickly sum up. At this end of the spectrum, is kind of the task-oriented outcomes. And on this side, it's really professional services. And, to me, it's characterized by high skill, specialist, technical expertise, critical and creative thinking, and a results orientation that's really, really important. And so how do you leverage the new era of virtual assistants? Really, it's by doing two things. One, it's by moving away from a do-it-yourself mentality to thinking about how do I delegate work to others that are perhaps more skilled, but certainly have the specialization and the time to do that work for you. So you create time to do what you do best. And it's really moving from a task orientation of do these things to I'm looking for these kind of results. And that's also an extremely important thing when you're hiring a given team or even individual to help you move your business forward. So I want to present three ideas. The first is the idea of core versus non-core work. The second is an approach that I call process, tools, then people. And lastly, really thinking about the benefits of outsourcing to freelance pros. And so core versus non-core is actually really the common 80-20 rule. 20% of the work you do is what drives your client and business value. And how do you concentrate on that? That's the stuff that's above the waterline that your clients see and value. But 80% is work that's non-core, but it's needed to run the business. And that's under the waterline. Your client doesn't see it, but they expect it to have a well-run business and for you to service them effectively. So what the rest of this talk is really about is how do you invest more time in the 20% core work that drives your impact and will help your business grow and scale. So to me, it's all about time and how you spend it or invest it. And so we've have this concept of the return on investment of time. Should you do something or should you delegate something? And the work you should do is core work. That's the cost, the work that your client's going to pay you for, what they see. It's high ROI, and I just call it the front office. The back office, though, is stuff that needs to happen. It's needed to deliver your core value, but it's a cost. Your client's not going to pay for that. They just expect it to be done. And in fact, I saw a really interesting blog by Seth Godin the other day, and he talked about core work as being the differentiated work and the non-core work as being the undifferentiated work. And that undifferentiated work is not what delivers value to your client. It just enables you to deliver value. And to me, it's that back office that is ripe for having other people do that work, to outsource it to skilled fractional talent that's good at the various non-core work elements that you might be dealing with. And to imagine that, here are just some examples. So this would be consistently core work for pretty much any kind of a company, the work you should be doing. It's around client value delivery, strategy, innovation, partnerships, building a marketing and social media strategy, developing content, being a thought leader, building your network. Those are all core things that really the business owner or the business leaders should be doing. And on the non-core work side, it's anything that's administrative operational support for the work of that business. So it could be client support, but it's in the background to set the business owner or the rainmaker up for success. It might be managing your CRM system, managing projects, writing content, bookkeeping, all those kinds of things. And non-core versus core needs some judgment, because if you are a digital agency, marketing and social media execution may be part of your core work. So use it with a grain of salt, but at the end of the day, you're looking for support work versus non-support work and figuring out how to get the non-core work done to free you up. If you're not sure about what's in your 80% or your 20%, we have a tool that I encourage you to use. We call it the ROI of time calculator, and you can use the QR code to try it. And what I find interesting is we don't see anybody's name when we see the results of this, but we do see kind of the summary. And on average, what people say their average starts with what's the value of 1 hour of your time. And the average is $170. And what's interesting is as people go through the process of identifying what their core work is versus their non-core work, 57% of their work week is spent on the non-core work. And if you multiply that hourly rate times the hours that's spent on non-core work, that just shows you the cost, the opportunity cost of that time that's spent on the non-value added work that your client's not going to pay you for. And the more you can shift into value producing work, the better. And you don't have to go from 0 to 60 all in a second. You can start small and start moving a few things from your plate to somebody else's plate, and over time shift that balance. And that's really the objective. And it's a good holistic way to do it. And that really leads me to talking about my theme of process, tools, and people, because that's what really enables you to scale your business value. So first, let's talk about process. It's a very unsexy thing, but I think it's probably one of the most important things, because how you deliver your customer value is a process, and it's a business asset. And if you've ever thought about selling your business, your assets are going to be your customers, the whatever hard and soft assets you have. But process is an important soft asset, because basically your process tends to make your business repeatable. It talks about how you deliver your value and enables you to deliver your value consistently. Process also makes sure you focus and helps you get more done and get more done consistently. And clients appreciate value that's delivered on a consistent basis that they can count on. And having process also enables you to delegate and outsource, because if you've ever said to somebody, go do something, they're going to ask you how do you want it done? So if you've got process outlined somewhere, you can hand them something or point them to something and say, do it this way. And then they're going to be happy and execute the way you want. And you're going to be happy because you're going to get the outcome that you're looking for. So what I hear from a lot of business owners I talk to is, oh, I'm not a process person. But that's really not an inhibitor, because you may not be, but there's a freelancer that loves process, loves interviewing clients and getting process or ideas out of their heads into some sort of a digital paper. So it can be a business asset. So honestly, no matter what it is, there's a freelancer that can do that and loves to do that. Secondly is technology tools, process, then tools. And what I see often is people buy tools, the latest and greatest thing, CRMs or whatever it is that they see advertised or that their friends have. But when you do that, you're kind of having to retrofit your process into the tools. And if you start with process, you're going to make better tool decisions. You're not going to overbuy and you're not going to underbuy. And tech tools really do save time and money. They help you offload anything that's repetitive. And it's better to do it to tools, not people, because it's a lower cost proposition. It's a fixed cost proposition. Tools help you capture variable data. It's not going to be in someone's head that you can pull out and do anything with. It needs to be in some sort of a database. And increasingly, the tools that are out there make that really, really easy to develop reports and develop insights about your business so you can build it, grow it, and scale it. And it also helps you to embrace artificial intelligence. Having tools will help you automate things, send out a newsletter every single month, or do routine responses to inquiries on your website. Those are all important ways to deliver information and services to the public, but without having to make a huge investment in people who are expensive. And as I also mentioned, it helps you to synthesize information. And just like process, if you're not a tech person, that's not a problem, because there are super talented people that love technology and love helping others understand the technology that fits their business and how to implement it and how to optimize it. So lastly, people. I think people should be leveraged for their critical and creative thinking. And there's lots of great sources of people that can help you grow your business. They might be your employees, they might be a network, your business partners, but there's certainly an untapped arena of freelance and contract professionals, and virtual assistants and virtual assistant teams is clearly one of them. And as I said a moment ago, no matter what it is you need, there is, I guarantee you, a fractional expert that can do whatever it is you need. Really, the key is finding that person. That's the hardest part. And so the benefits of outsourcing, assuming that you find the people to help you, really is it helps you optimize your time and your capital. Freelancers are available, they're flexible, and they're highly skillful. And so they help you to offload non-core work, scale your business up and down. If you're seasonal or you just want to try something out, there's so many ways to help freelance talent try things. And if it doesn't work, you change it. but you're not making a big commitment in terms of an employee when you're not even sure something's going to work. It helps you add results-oriented talent because freelancers don't want to be your employees. They want to be their own businesses, and they want you as their clients. So they're going to be very oriented to delivering the results you want because they want to continue working with you. It also adds broad thinking and experience because freelancers are working across industries, across clients, so they can bring something that worked in one arena to you, and it will have been tested. They'll know the pros and cons of doing things. So it's a really great way to bring experience, seasoned ideas, into your business propositions. And lastly, it's adding these tech and AI utilization skills. I mean, if you just think about the number of announcements that come out about Google's algorithms, for example, and for their ads, it's changing constantly. So if you're not specialized and concentrating on Google Ads, for example, you're never going to keep up, and you could actually waste money because suddenly an ad campaign that worked before doesn't work anymore because the algorithms change. So having people that are specialized in technology means you're going to have the benefit of the most current expertise as well as the help and execution, because while sometimes things like you can do it yourself, oftentimes it's frustrating because you can't get the result you want, and it's much harder than it seems. So finding human virtual assistants for teams, that is an important element all itself. And there's three primary ways. One is to do it yourself. You're talking to your friends, colleagues. Many people belong to referral groups these days. Clearly there are big platforms out there that where employers can shop for freelancers, and frankly, freelancers can shop for employers. You can also find human virtual assistants for teams through partnership, because if you find a business that's complementary to yours, it can work well in terms of revenue and cost sharing and working on clients in a common way. But success really depends on the alignment and how balanced the needs are of both parties. Then lastly are recruiters. And I'm obviously a fan because that's, we are staffing for contract specialists. So it's an area that I'm very familiar with, but we are contract specialists and so are other recruiters. There's no opportunity cost because you're outsourcing to experts in this, so you can concentrate on growing your business while the recruiter is finding talent that best matches your needs. You do pay for that service, but it's really, like I explained before, it's a value add and saves you time and effort, so you can concentrate on your core business while your staffing needs are being met by someone else. So in my mind, anything that's DIY is low ROI because it's not something you're good at, and it's much harder than you think it is, no matter how easy it seems to go to a platform or to get recommendations from your friends. Somebody's got to do the work of sorting through those people and validating them. Partners can be high ROI, definitely, if the potential is there, but really the success always depends on alignment and the balanced need. And the important thing is it might make sense in the beginning, but over time, is that balance still there? And that's something you just don't know. So really knowing someone you partner with and trying to assess the short-term and long-term balance of need is really important. And then recruiters, I think it's high ROI. Yes, you pay, but you get results. And so when I think about the sources of human virtual assistants and the value propositions, these are the things that I think are important. One is you want to work with a platform or partners or recruiters that are freelance work experts, not people that do it occasionally, because it's a specialty. There's a lot of nuances to finding and vetting freelance workers. And then I think the service levels that are important that lead to success is that there's a human-led component, that there is a free consultation, so there's an exchange of ideas, so the people know what you're looking for. It's clearly defined, because it's not well defined, you're never going to find it. And it's going to be frustrating to freelancers that think you're looking for something when you're looking for something else. So having some sort of a mechanism, a consult to get clear on what you're looking for is important. Some kind of curation is important. If you type virtual assistant's going to get you digital in a Google browser, but if you type some sort of like CRM specialist something. You're going to get thousands of people that can do CRMs. It doesn't mean they're the best ones. They're the best ones for you. So some element of curation is important to save time and effort and zero in on the talent that matters. And then I think it's important to be able to hire either individuals or teams, depending on what's important. And then is there some level of being invested in your business, in your success? I think those 5 things are really important. And that is something that I've endeavored to do through Results Resourcing. We are a done-for-you service, and we built our platform to deliver on all of these things. And frankly, some of this came from my work hiring freelancers from other platforms. Upwork and Fiverr are both publicly traded companies and the leaders in terms of number of freelancers on the platforms and lots of job activity. And I would definitely call them freelance work experts, but there's a lot of do-it-yourself for a solopreneur or a small business. And just recognizing the time value of that and whether you like to do it and whether you're good at it, that's got to be part of the equation. And then honestly, this is my favorite. So many people have hired somebody that a well-meaning friend has recommended. And it's just a lovely gesture. But at the end of the day, your friend isn't necessarily an expert in your business, nor an expert in the pros and cons of freelancers. And it ends up being, however well-meaning, a huge amount of work for you to figure out whether that person or team is the right choice for you. So it's just a matter of balancing all of those considerations. And by the way, DIY recruiting is non-core work. It's work your client is not going to pay you for, but is going to expect you to have the staff you need to deliver whatever your value proposition is. So let me spend a couple minutes just talking about results resourcing. And we are a virtual fractional talent platform and service. We are built by and for solopreneurs and small businesses because that's what I was. And we have just continually been growing our business by effectively utilizing great freelance talent. So we've become experts because we study the space and because we use the space. And our mission, in addition to our skill set, is really helping solo and small businesses to scale by hiring the right fractional virtual talent. And so we are a freelance talent matching service. And I like to think of us as kind of the best of both worlds. We're clearly talent specialists. We know a lot about contract work, freelance work, and we're also heavily into technology. So we have built a fully automated proprietary technology platform, but you don't come to our platform to browse freelancers, and freelancers don't come to browse clients and jobs. We insert the human to speak with clients about their needs, and then to behind the scenes use our platform to find, vet, and curate freelancers that will be a good match for the clients that we work with. So at the end of the day, we named the company Results Resourcing because we want to deliver results. We resource your results by delivering great freelance talent. And when you work with us, you get to talk to an entrepreneur like me, who's drink my own champagne, as I mentioned before. And we provide access to skilled, scalable talent. So critical thinkers and doers, teams or individuals. And the other thing is we specialize in US and Canadian talent. And the reason we do that is because we think there's real value in having people that grew up in the culture and understand how business is done in a city, a state, a country. Those are, however skilled, smart, motivated, and how well people speak English and write English around the world. If you don't grow up at someplace, you're just not going to have the nuanced expertise that folks that live here do. And does it cost more? Yes, but you get something for it too. And again, it's always a trade-off. And lastly, in working with us, it's cost effective and it's quick. So over the course of the 12 years Results Resourcing has been in business, we started by matching people to individual talent pools of individual freelancers. But so many solopreneurs and small businesses kept coming back and saying what they really needed was a broader set of virtual assistants. They wanted competent, reliable, nice, and now. Those 4 things were consistent. And so we've really shifted what we do these days, and now we primarily match people with pre-vetted human VA teams. They're business and culture savvy, they have broad and deep skills, there are no minimum hours commitments, they're ready to work in 24 to 48 hours, and they're very accountable as business owners. And these are some of the most popular roles. There are others as well, but these are the general roles that most solopreneurs and small businesses come to us for because they're going to have the high impact on the business. at a base level in terms of shifting that 80-20 rule to free up the business owner, the rainmaker, the lead salesperson, whoever it is in a small business, to free them up to spend more time delivering customer value. And we guarantee our matches. Again, we resource results. So these are my 5 tips in conclusion, really, about the new era of virtual assistants. One is to embrace all the options that are out there, and the fact that more and more options continue to grow. But the key is understanding and figuring how to figure out curating the options to pick the ones that are right for you. And one of the ways to do that is to try to optimize your time and really start to understand what is the core work of your business versus the non-core work of your business, and to find tools that'll free you up to focus on the core business. And part of that is applying the process, tools, and people approach. And as I said before, you don't have to go from 0 to 60 in a day. You start small, pick 1 or 2 non-core activities that consume a lot of time, or you just hate doing, or you don't seem to do well. Start there and work with virtual assistants that can help you with those. And then move, as I say, rinse and repeat. Once you've mastered those 2, you can move to the next. And over time, you will outsource more and more, and you will focus more and more of your time on the most important part of your business, which is delivering the value. So it's really taking the big step to outsource non-core work, and we'll help. And I'd be happy to have a conversation to talk about your options specific to your business. And ultimately, I want you to think bigger. I want you as a solopreneur or a small business to be bigger, to scale, to be what you want. There's no magic to a number or anything like that, but to be the size you want that supports you as an individual, supports your family, supports your community. And that really, I think, you can benefit from the value add of fractional talent that will flux with you and bring in the support you need to help you scale your business. So with that, I guess we'll do some questions, and then I'll leave you with how to contact me if you'd like to talk further. Lana, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. We have a question in the chat. I like the concept of VA team model. When it comes to the VA team model, do I, as a business owner, have to manage or interact with several people, or is there a central point of contact?
Great question. And there is a central point of contact, and it tends to be the owner of that virtual assistant team or agency. And sometimes that's the person that's going to project manage your work. You'll develop the relationship with that person. That's the person that will also share information about the work that needs to be done with other team members that might be the ones who are actually executing it. And there will be times when maybe you'll meet with 2 people, the team lead or the business owner, and perhaps that graphic designer, or implementing a new CRM system or optimizing a CRM system. You might work with more than one person, but you've always got that one person, to go back to as the coordinator of your work. And then honestly, we maintain an ongoing relationship as well. So if you need to talk to us, we're happy to talk to you to help you work with your teams. And we actually speak with our teams every single week. So we're staying in sync and staying in alignment to help you be more successful. So, the short answer is yes, you do get to speak primarily with one person that's going to be responsible for delivering the results for your company.
Thank you. We have more questions coming in. Talk about the risk of AI taking over positions currently held by VAs and how to strategize that difference.
Oh boy, that's a good one. I think that it's inevitable. I mean, if you look at the players that are focusing on this market, they're not doing it because they see a small opportunity. They see billions and billions of dollars of opportunity. So, and then there's all those people in that chart that I showed you that are coming up with their own more specific tools rather than broad tools. And so I don't think there's any way to get around it. It's going to happen. And so I think both for the business owner, it's finding tools that help you take care of those repetitive tasks in a systematic way where you can capture the data and leverage the data for your business. And for people that have specialized in doing those jobs as a virtual assistant, then I think it's important to start thinking about how do you shift the value you deliver to clients towards that consultative, outcomes-oriented work where you're an expert advisor. You might be an expert advisor in a smaller range of things, not perhaps as wide as a team of multidisciplined people. But the more you can start thinking about your value delivery in terms of the things that are thoughtful, critical thinking, problem solving, consultative roles, those are the areas to concentrate on. And then thinking yourself about how to leverage those digital tools to make you more efficient, to make you more knowledgeable, because I think it's ultimately going to be a blend of technology tools and humans that fact check, get rid of hallucinations, and really add that human voice and that humanity, into deliverables.
Thank you. We have a question from Brian. You may have covered this, but does your service help identify the areas that would be good to hire for? Example, calendar, email management, things like that.
Absolutely. And that's really what the consult's for. It's a conversation where really we start with, tell me about your business and where do you want to take it? And then we kind of reverse engineer. We talk about what perhaps some of your immediate needs are that are hanging you up, like calendar management, like email management. Frequently people come to us and they have 30,000 emails, in their inbox. And one of the first things we do is kind of help go through that, get that organized and whittle that down to the emails that matter. And so that's a place to start. But then we never just leave it at those immediate things. But what else do you want to do? What other tools are you using? Where's your business headed? So we can find a team that is going to best match whatever it is you need. Now, you're not obligated to use the teams for all the things they could do, but we've built a number of flyers that talk about our different roles, the VA, EA, project manager, social media, for example. And on the back of those flyers, it really has a list that illustrates the kind of work the VA can do in a given role. And so it really encourages you to think broadly about all the things that are possible, because you may be focused on a particular hot thing that's getting in your way. But once that's solved, then there's other things that a quality VA team can do for you. And it's making sure you get matched with a team that can evolve with you as your needs evolve.
Perfect, thank you. To build on the AI question, do the VAs know how to best use AI to accomplish what they need to do? Example,
Absolutely.
not rely so much on it.
Yes.
Thanks for
the answer is definitely yes, but I would qualify this by saying it all depends also, because we probably all read about an attorney that used AI to build a legal brief that he filed in court. And it turned out to cite cases that didn't even exist. There are going to be people that do that, virtual assistants that do that write things for you or whatever. And they may or may not tell you they're doing that. And so I think finding virtual assistants that you like and trust is important, because the quality virtual assistants, ones that are professional in their business, they're thinking about, how do I use AI to build my own business, to make my own business more efficient? And they certainly see one of the roles as being helping clients think about how to use technology, and that they'll use technology, say, to do research or to draft a blog or something like that. And they'll be upfront with the client that that's what they're doing. But then they're going to, that's the 80% that the ChatGPT whatever can produce. Then they're going to apply the 20% to provide the client's voice, unique things that they know about where the business they want to go versus what's obvious, say, on a business's website. So they use judgment in using it, and they can also guide the business owner in the best use of AI. And it's, again, they're using different kinds of AI all the time for themselves and for other clients. So they're coming with experience. And the whole AI market, if you just think about that chart, is constantly changing. There's new things happening all the time. And they view it as part of their responsibility to keep up with that stuff to the extent that's as possible, because it's moving pretty quickly.
Perfect. How do I get started leveraging a VA or VA team?
The best way, I mentioned before, is to start small. think of a couple of things that are really getting in your way that is non-core work. And it might be your email, it might be scheduling, it might be appointment setting, it might be lead follow-up or proposal writing, anything, any kind of thing like that. And you just pick one or two things and, outsource that to virtual assistant or a virtual assistant team that or have or you want that can help you do those things. And it's kind of like get some experience under your belt, get some successes under your belt, and then go from there. And once you do that, you'll start to establish a pattern of how you work with a virtual assistant to help you identify your needs and prioritize your needs and get work done for you. And you can keep expanding that. While they still continue doing the things that you agreed for them to do, they can then do more things adding on to that. So start small, get some success, and keep moving forward.
That's great. Thank you. Is there a difference in cost? A VA team is more expensive than an individual team?
Not necessarily. Definitely not with results resourcing. The cost is really hourly and it's based on the role and it's consistent, for each team. But speaking for the general public, it's hard to say. I mean, our relationships with our freelancers, are built on our efficiency of working together and taking cost out of the system, which all makes it possible for us to work at the rates that we do. In the general public market, it's hard to say. And it also depends on, I guess, how big an independent firm is that provides whatever virtual assistant is that you need. If they've got a lot of staff and a lot of overhead, it could cost more because they're not a particularly efficient organization. So it kind of depends, but with results resourcing, I can say that there is no difference. You're going to get the same value, whether we generally assign team members as individuals who are part of a team. So worst case, they've got a team they can call back on if they need to, if the business owner needs more help, but you can work with one individual and the pricing would be the same.
Thank you. I'm not great at delegating. Can I be open with your VA and get feedback, guidance? Can we work together to build a stronger relationship?
Honestly, I think most VAs would love that. And I don't think necessarily a business owner needs to be good at that. I mean, it's not necessarily the reason they started their business. They started a business because they were passionate about something or good at something. And over time, if the idea is successful, more work results, in supporting that work with clients. And so virtual assistants are expert at outsourcing, and there's nothing more than they like to help people get organized. In fact, one of my favorite freelancers talks about being a chaos coordinator. So you may not have any idea where to start. And, virtual assistants are great at thinking clearly about priority and organization. And I think it's a great way to have an open relationship, because the more open it is with someone you trust, the more they can help you. And you can build a plan together about how you're gradually going to be more systemized, more organized, and give you confidence in delegating. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you can't force yourself to do something you're not comfortable doing. So you need to build your comfort level. And I think good virtual assistant teams and good virtual assistants, you really can be really helpful in helping you building the concept and the skills, the confidence and the skills to outsource and delegate.
Perfect. Thank you. We're going to squeeze one more question because this is a juicy one. What if I want a VA to be my own VA, not on a platform? How does that work?
I'm not sure I actually understand the question, because well, I'll answer it best I can. A platform is simply a vehicle for hiring someone. The platform really doesn't have anything to do with the work that's done. So you can have your own freelancer, you just might acquire your own freelancer through a platform. In the case of results resourcing, the management of the freelancer's work happens through the platform, and the billing and payment processing happens through the platform. And that's for the sake of efficiency. It keeps everybody aligned and leveraging highly scaled technology to do work for everybody and keep records, produce reports, help with year-end 1099 administration. And frankly, also platforms create distance between the business owner and the freelancer. And there's a lot of discussion state to state about whether someone is an Uber driver an employee or a contractor. So there's always questions about that. So there's some real benefits to having a platform to support the logistics of payment processing and tax information at the end of the year, as well as creating some distance, organizational distance between the business owner and the freelancer. So happy to talk more about this topic with whoever asked the question, but those are just some general thoughts.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Is that it?
That's all. Yes, that's everything.
Great. Well, really awesome set of questions. So if you are ready to learn more, if you would like to talk further about some of the topics we talked about in the talk or in the questions, here's the QR code to book a meeting with me. That's one of the, I guess, benefits of the talk is I'm the one that you get to talk to as opposed to anyone else on our team. And I would love to do that because in addition to being a public speaker of this, I really love helping small businesses think bigger and making it happen. And then I also just love to talk about the subject. I am an expert at entrepreneurial growth and the future of work, staffing, and I've made the leadership transformation from entrepreneur, being very entrepreneurial at large companies, to being an entrepreneur. And happy to talk to your group or people that this kind of a talk would be valuable. So here's how to connect with me on LinkedIn, and here's how to schedule a meeting with me. And I can't thank you enough for spending this hour with us to explore the new era of virtual assistants. And I certainly hope you take advantage. Thank you very much.